So Alex007, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. So how did you originally get connected with ESL?
Well, I think there wasn't any particular connection before I joined. Basically, I just saw the tweet from Sean Clark or Apollo that there is a position which is called Senior Product Manager for Starcraft 2. And of course, like I knew the guy who worked on this position before, Yoka, Matt. I think like most of our Starcraft people like know the guy as well. So the first thing I did is I just reached out to him and asked like, what's up? But I just wanted to make sure that, I don't know, there is nothing really bad happening, and I don't want to be the guy who just takes the other people's roles. So just wanted to double check if what's up with Matt. But yeah, basically, like Matt told that there was some kind of personal reasons, which caused basically him deciding to leave this position, and he recommended me to actually like try to join, to approach ESL people on it. So yeah, that's basically when I decided that it might be a good opportunity, and basically I just sent my CV. Like there wasn't any kind of special connection between me and ESL. Of course, like I think what really helped is a lot of people at ESL actually knew me because I've been in esports since 2010, and I've produced a lot of Starcraft events, both online and offline, including like the really major events. For example, the things we've done in Kiev in 2019. But yeah, I think that's the whole connection basically. Like my experience plus this tweet posted by Sean. That was basically it.
So what is the nature of your work with ESL? Like, what does your day-to-day look like?
Well, that's a complicated question because definitely like my daily experience really depends on the fact if we have like an upcoming event or not. Because if we do, then my whole attention, my whole work day is spent on different kinds of preparations for the event. Like I'm basically responsible for the whole product, which means that I'm the one to oversee every sort of preparation happening. And some of the things I tend to do personally, for example, I'm the person who's behind all the schedule changes. So if you hate those, then, well, I'm the one to blame. If you like those, that's great. But it's not just about the things which are clearly visible on the broadcast or anywhere else. It's also about like a lot of invisible things which are really important for every event. So again, if there is an upcoming event, then I'm just preparing for that. I'm making sure that everybody who works on the event knows what to do, knows who to speak, and I'm like the person who connects all internal departments, all people who work on the product, and of course I'm like the bridge between the community and our company. And my job is to make sure that you guys are happy, because every product manager has their own customers, and my customer is you, my customer is community. So like short answer is my daily routine is like literally making every Starcraft fan happy, or at least trying to do this. And if I don't have any upcoming events, which, well, wasn't the case by now, because I joined in September and then we had Atlanta and then we had Katowice, but I hope that I'll be able to spend more time into like looking into the future of Starcraft, maybe like leading certain discussions regarding like the patches, some changes to the game, maybe map pools, stuff like that. Not really related like to the actual ESL Pro Tour things, but more related like to Starcraft in general, which still of course is what we need in ESL Pro Tour to like for the whole ecosystem to function properly. We want to have updates, right? We want to have new maps, and this will also be part of the things which will take part of my attention.
So those things obviously require a lot of interaction with Blizzard. Would you say you have a pretty good line of communication with them?
Well, I mean, of course we talk a lot. I think it's kind of safe to say that we clearly understand each other's needs, and we at ESL are really thankful for Blizzard's continued support, especially when it comes to like game changes, map pool changes, and of course like I think you guys, you all know that Blizzard has, Blizzard supported ESL Pro Tour throughout all these 3 years, starting from 2020 to 2023, like this Katowice. the prize money is basically provided by Blizzard. So it's definitely the level of support we need to make sure that ESL Pro Tour is successful. But even other than that, I think we have a really good connections when it comes to like map pool updates, and when it comes to balance changes, stuff like that. Even though, like realistically speaking, the stuffing on Blizzard's side is, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not a secret, right? It's not like there are a lot of people working on Starcraft, but there are still really great, passionate people who care about Starcraft, and that's, for me, that's the most important part. Like when I talk to people and I can clearly see that they also have this passion to the game, then it's really easy for us to understand each other well.
That sounds great. How do you feel about the health of the Ukrainian or Eastern European Starcraft scene at the moment?
It's really hard to say because realistically, especially when it comes to Ukrainian scene, it is like the whole situation in esports is highly affected by the war. So, I mean, let's say we had Hellraiser and some of the other top players who were really, like, I would say they were quite decent when it comes to the European level in general before the war started. But I mean, speaking about Hellraiser, the guy just doesn't have any opportunity to properly practice, even if he wanted to, but I'm pretty sure he's just unable to even think about the game, considering the ongoing war in Ukraine. And that's not just Hellraiser, that's also a lot of Ukrainian players. So unfortunately, Starcraft is not the priority for a lot of Ukrainians, and that's completely understandable. When it comes to the Eastern European scene in general, well, I feel that like we have like really decent players like Skilos, for example. I feel that the guy is doing great in Starcraft for the last few years. He really made a lot of progress, and I hope that we will see Skilos on the highest stage possible. We have also some other up-and-coming players. Realistically, I feel that Eastern Europe is not the strongest, obviously, region in Starcraft scene, but what really what makes me excited about our players is the fact that we really have some young up-and-comers. There is hope for a bright future, and that's really important for such an old game like Starcraft 2, right?
Speaking of all the political tension and stuff going on in Ukraine right now, I see a lot of media online from Whitera regarding his support of Ukrainian resistance and stuff like that. Do you have much of a relationship with Whitera?
Well, привет, Lёша. Just saying hi to Whitera. Whitera is really doing a lot of great things for Ukraine, and Whitera is an amazing guy. I think maybe we just lost our connection a bit during the last year or so, just because, again, when the war started, like we even had some plans to hold offline competitions in Odessa, but all those plans, of course, like we couldn't work on them properly. We don't communicate on a daily basis, but of course, like me and Whitera know each other well, and when needed, we can talk to each other freely. I just can't say that we do it on a regular basis.
Definitely.
If that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. Do you prefer working more behind the scenes, or did you like being in front of the camera?
Well, I'm not saying that I prefer to work behind the scenes, especially considering the fact that I still run my YouTube channel. And like the question, what's better, or like what do I like more, was always one of the most complicated ones. The short answer is I like to do things where I'm like needed the most, let's put it this way. And I feel that in the current role I can do like the maximum what I can for Starcraft. Like this is the best role which allows me to do as much for Starcraft as I can. So probably, yes, I can say that like technically the current role, being a bit behind the scenes, but doing a lot of good stuff for Starcraft, fits me a bit more, just because I know that here I have more, I don't know, let's put it this way, I have more power and more opportunities to make something good for Starcraft. That's it.
That's an excellent answer. Why do you think ESL has stuck with StarCraft after all these years?
I don't like the word stuck. It means that like that basically we already had to to leave it as it is and move further. I mean it's not just about the legacy. We at ESL we are trying to build the ecosystems. We're trying to build the environment where the community is happy and our partners are happy, and of course where the whole ecosystem works well for the company. And we feel that in StarCraft, I mean, I want to say that that we are actually making the community excited and happy about our events. Like we can see a lot of feedback on Reddit. Like my first event in ESL was DreamHack Atlanta, and I was so happy to see all those Reddit threads. Hey, StarCraft is alive! Like we have so many people in Atlanta. Those ESL guys had to bring like 7 rounds of additional chairs, which is true, we had. And here in Katowice, I also feel that we're doing kind of a good job or maybe like an okay job in making the online viewers happy about what we have in the broadcast. So StarCraft is really it's in a good state when it comes to people being satisfied with what we do. And it's in okay state from the commercial perspective. While it still makes sense to run StarCraft events from the commercial perspective, I'm pretty sure there is no reason to just say, hey, we don't want to run StarCraft anymore.
As you mentioned, DreamHack Atlanta was a resounding success. Why do you think that was? Why do you think that event went as well as it did?
Well, thanks for such kind words about DreamHack Atlanta. Yes, we feel that event went really well, especially when it comes to the on-site experience and about the online viewership experience too. Just maybe the actual viewership numbers weren't where we wanted them to be, but I agree that the event looked really great. I think it's just because of the amazing North American community, amazing crowd in Atlanta. Like, if you remove the whole on-site experience, if you remove all those passionate people, you just get kind of a decent event with good games, of course. Like, I think players also contributed a lot to the event's success and the quality of games we had that was also important. But still, if you don't have the crowd, if you don't have all those passionate people, you just have like a good StarCraft tournament which could be held online. So I definitely think that like a very important part of why DreamHack Atlanta was quite successful is the fact that we have an amazing community there. And big shout out to everyone who was in Atlanta and helped us in making this event successful.
So moving forward to Katowice now, obviously one of the biggest changes was the StarCraft tournament is not held in Spodek as it previously was. Why was that? Do you think it's better for the StarCraft tournament to not be held in Spodek?
Yeah, that's a very complicated question, and of course we need to consider a lot of different factors and we need to be realistic when we plan our events. I think the original idea behind having StarCraft in Spodek, even though I don't know for sure, I can just guess because I think this decision was made long ago, was that, well, there might be a lot of CSGO fans who are also kind of, I don't want to say fond of StarCraft or like StarCraft, but they might be interested in watching like the actual World Championship finals in StarCraft 2. And of course, that made a lot of sense to have StarCraft featured in Spodek Arena in front of a huge crowd on a huge stage. That definitely looks great on the broadcast. But I feel that what we had last year, for example, was maybe not the best experience for our fans in America. For example, the schedule we had for the final day, it was just kind of painful for the American fans to follow the whole esports year and then not really being able to watch the World Championship finals, right? And when I'm saying that we have to be realistic, I mean that, well, we cannot fill Spodek Arena with StarCraft fans, right? We need to acknowledge that. And then we need to ask the questions, is it worth it? Like being featured in Spodek Arena, it's kind of obvious that like CSGO finals should be the priority, right? they take the prime time. So it's up to us to take only the morning time. And then we have this kind of schedule, which just sucks for American viewers. Then we have like half empty arena because we just don't have enough people to be in Spodek arena for it to look really full. And then why do we even do this? That's the question I ask myself, and a lot of people in ESL also share this opinion, and I feel that this decision is probably what's best for us right now. If only we could fill the whole Spodek arena with Starcraft fans, guys. I mean, I don't have anything against this, but currently I feel that's probably the best possible solution for us in Katowice.
What are the metrics that you use to measure success for an event?
Well, that's a very good question, and I feel it's not super easy to answer. It's one of the questions which we inside the company are also like looking for really perfect answers, you know. For me, like viewership is definitely important, not gonna lie. And of course, we really like take a careful look at all broadcast metrics. Like peak viewership is important. Everybody like looks at where the game peaks, and then like has certain assumptions on like what's the status of this game inside esports, right? Like different metrics, like hours watched, for example, for the broadcast is also important. But it's not just about the numbers. It's also about the perception. It's also about fan satisfaction. And for example, we're doing our NPS reports, basically those forums which we share with you guys after every event for a reason. We want to know how satisfied is the community with what we do, because numbers are one thing, but then we also need to measure like what do people think about us. We need to measure what are people, what are the scores which you give to us. That's it. Like literally every StarCraft fan is able to rate every event we do in a super primitive scale from 1 to 10, and that's already something. Like if we have one event where like the majority gives us 2 or 3 points on average, and other events where we get 8s and 9s, we clearly can see the difference and understand what's better for the community, right? So there are definitely a lot of metrics, and those reports, those NPS scores are also important, as well as viewership, as well as a lot of things which you cannot measure with numbers. For example, again, the on-site atmosphere we had in Atlanta. You cannot measure this, but you can feel it, and that's what's also important. So I don't have a perfect answer, but I can say that we consider a lot of different things while thinking if the event was successful or not.
Are YouTube and Twitch VOD views after the event something you consider as part of like success metrics?
Well, it might be in the long term, but of course, like when the event is over, we don't have those numbers yet, right? So I'm not sure if that's really relevant short term. Long term, when it comes like to the whole ecosystem sustainability, we definitely can consider those. But yeah, that's not really related to the event. When we have like 1 week after the event, we'll try to think what was great, what not. We don't really consider those views, yeah.
That makes sense. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge you face when trying to put together an event and run it?
Well, that's a lot of challenges. The biggest one, right? The biggest one is we need to make sure that whenever we, StarCraft event, are part of something bigger, like let's say we're here at IEM Expo, and if we're like, for example, part of DreamHack, we need to make sure that we never ruin the experience of our own fans. And like I know that, for example, here in Katowice, there was some issues with, like, for example, certain other parts of the area being too loud and therefore preventing StarCraft fans from like actually hearing what's happening on stage, hearing the casters, stuff like that. So yeah, one side is we need to make sure that our own fans are getting the best possible experience. But another part of this is also making sure that we from our side like properly contribute to the whole bigger product, and we are not causing troubles to anyone else. Because like the whole thing, the whole DreamHack cannot be built just around StarCraft event, right? If you've been to DreamHack, you know that it's like a huge event, and there are lots of things going on, and StarCraft isn't necessarily the most important part of it, even though it is. Like in Atlanta, I feel that StarCraft was maybe one of the highlights of the whole event, but still. That's definitely a challenge, and that's definitely I feel the thing where I personally can do much better while getting more knowledge on how we work, like for example here in Katowice, how we usually work in DreamHacks, and understanding this will help me in actually getting better experience for the Starcraft visitors, because I feel that it wasn't optimal here, it wasn't also optimal in Atlanta, even though I hope it was still decent, and again, the feedback we received was also positive. We know that we still have things to work on, that's for sure.
Of course. Do you think a partnership between ESL and Frost Giant for Stormgate is a possibility?
Let's say I hope so. I mean, we definitely, I think we all here in ESL are looking forward to new esports titles and new RTS titles too. And I hope we'll be able to make something cool together with Frost Giant. But of course, I don't have any insights. It's not like I don't want to share. I don't have any insights, and at this point, I'm afraid it might be like too early, like to build anything concrete, you know. But in general, of course, like I'm personally a big fan of what of the approach that Frost Giant has taken, and yeah, I hope that Stormgate will be a really great RTS game.
Do you think there's room on the Intel Extreme Masters circuit for 2 RTS titles?
You mean like ESL Pro Tour circuit?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Let me put it this way, because ESL Pro Tour, it's not just Starcraft 2. It's also, I'm pretty sure you guys know about CSGO ESL Pro Tour, because Intel Extreme Masters Katowice is also not just Starcraft 2. We have EPT Championship in CSGO in Spodek Arena. They are good neighbors. And yeah, they also have the same or similar structure established in CSGO, or rather, we have a structure similar to what they have in CSGO. That's, I think, a more proper way to put it. And why not having something else? Why not?
Well, that's all I really had for you, but I just want to thank you, first of all, personally, for taking the time, but also on behalf of the community for putting together great events. Your tenure in your role obviously hasn't been that long yet, but it seems like it's been going really well. I think everybody appreciates the work. Any final words?
I just want to say thank you to you guys. Community is definitely you are the reason why we're doing this. We're not doing this for us. We're not doing this even for our partners, even though we want them to be happy. And of course, like partners are important for every product, but we are doing this for you, for the community. So as long as you guys are happy, I'm pretty sure that we at ESL will be happy and our partners will be happy too. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for your love for Starcraft. And I hope that we'll be able to make a lot of great events together with you and for you guys.